back. Okay, then, let's talk security for once. The Office of the National Security Advisor, the NSA, popularly known as, is a clearinghouse for everything security in our country. And so any information from the NSA himself must be gospel, must be believed. Retired top police officer, now NSA, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, is not a happy man as we speak. He's full of criticisms for policemen and soldiers stealing and selling arms and ammunition to criminal elements. The NSA broke the depressing news in Abuja during the destruction of arms by the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons. To Malam Ribadu, these security agents are worse than human beings. Talk about enemies within. Wale.
Well, I think I personally like to commend the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. If you see the way he has defined national security, you see that he's competent, because when he was coming, people were saying, "Oh, that position is for soldiers alone."
Yeah.
But as a former policeman, I think he has been able to establish that he's up to the task.
Yeah.
This is not the first time. He's even gets himself involved in where people are having political disputes, economic issues, agricultural issues. Security is not just about weapons. It's a whole lot. It's a whole gamut of all sort of issues. So I think I'm impressed by his revelation, which is what we have always known. But by saying it openly, it means it's no longer rumor. It is his official position of the Nigerian state. Yes. And I think that people should realize the impact of insecurity, on human lives, on food security, on political stability. If there is no security, it's not guaranteed in any country. Forget about the future of that country.
Oh, yeah.
It's insecurity that led to war in Liberia and Rwanda, and we don't want the same thing to happen here. So it's better we cry out so that we can nip it in the bud. So I think it's one of the worst things for a security man to be selling arms to bandits. Such a person can do anything for money. Even when the country is fighting another country in terms of war, he can sell official secret. He can sell trademark of the country. Oh, yeah. That person has joined the army, security force, not to protect the country, but to make money through every means that is available.
You are wondering how much would he make?
How much will you
when
make?
He is not the chief of army staff?
Yeah,
Not the chief of defense staff.
Yeah. What the NSA did not mention is that how do they do this? You cannot sell arms unless you have access to it.
Yeah.
In every formation, either in the police or in the army, there is always the person in charge of the armored person. That place is the most secured person in the barracks. Hardly known to very few people.
Yeah.
And
open.
Oh, and
very few.
Very few people, and it's always locked with the highest form of security. So it means that for anyone to gain access to that, there is probably a cartel, a ring, a rogue cell that operates. It's not just those people that take those weapons to go and give those bandits. It's an organized cartel. They go and bribe some people, have access to that armory, and then bring it out, sell the money, and then share the money among themselves. So I think this is the kind of issues I expect the National Assembly to be dealing with, instead of inviting very dark man and all that. These are very serious issues that the National Assembly should sit down and take very serious. This thing can lead to war. If you are opening the armory and giving the guns to non-state actors, to the enemy of the state, that kill soldiers, kill policemen, kill pregnant women, and you are arming them, then I think it's a very dangerous situation that has to be addressed. And I remember the United Nations report a few years ago. There are Nigeria has 70% of illicit weapons in the entire of West Africa. 70%
I hear
of
so,
Nigeria. So it's a dangerous situation. I think the National Security Advisor should move forward by going to the roots of this man, so
small arms,
weapons.
Doctor, we always talk about the fifth columnist. They say in a formation there are 4 columns, but the fifth columnist is the enemy.
Yes,
the old enemy.
I agree with you on that, but let me first say that I somehow agree with you that what we hear from the office of the NSA now can be believed, because in the past we had some things from the office of the NSA that we know were fake intelligence reports, ordinarily, even as Nigerians. So now we are getting somewhere in terms of saying, okay, when this man speaks, you need to listen. What he has said is something that has been happening over time.
Are you saying nobody had the guts to say it?
No. Some people have been put on trial, and I just want to list a few of them.
Okay.
In May 2024, some soldiers were dismissed for theft and sale of
arms.
Yes, to the enemies. We had a video which was played here on Journalist Hangout of a soldier in Minok, Borno State,
Okay.
who had arms wrapped around himself.
Okay.
And said he has gotten a pass to travel out of the theater.
Yeah, okay.
And then his colleagues caught him at the park. And they knew where he was going. We had that video here. We had one who packed his own inside a sack of gari, mixed it up, and then he was also caught. As far back as 2016, Major General Lucky Rabo, who
was the CDS
as Chief of Defense Staff, he was then the theater commander in Borno State.
Yeah.
He also put 16 soldiers on trial for this.
For things like this?
Yes, for things like this. That keeps happening all of the time. All of the time. We have the smaller ones happening now, even in our own, in the southwest. You find soldiers who are economic saboteurs, serving ones. They will go to the port, bring out vehicles without paying duties. They will then drive it themselves to the owners in any part of the country. I had an encounter on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway some years back. There was traffic, and this soldier, who was in an unregistered vehicle that he was taking to the owner somewhere, took one way.
Yeah.
And road safety officials stopped him, and then come and see the way he was beating them. And then other soldiers who were on the other side who didn't know what has happened, they joined him.
In his defense?
Yes, they started beating the road safety officials even after going through one way.
Wow.
So why am I saying this in essence? In Kaduna too, it also happened with policemen in 2014. They give guns to armed robbers and all the rest. They caught some of them. Why am I saying this is? We need to constantly watch our recruitment process. There are people whose only aim of getting into any of these arm-bearing services is this sort of thing.
It's legitimacy.
Yes, so it now becomes legitimate for them.
They want to legitimize their dark deeds.
Even when you go through some of the stories we have published in the past, you will see some of these bank robberies in which people are heavily killed, including policemen. You find uniform people as part of it.
And the arms themselves, not difficult to know where the arms are coming from.
It's not even not so difficult. Even in the execution of the operations, some of these operations, you know that those who did it are not civilians. They are trained.
Trained
in handling weapons.
Weapon handling.
So, the NSA has done well by telling us. And I praise him because, like we've always said, Ribadu is a man who, even when he is guilty, he will tell you that, see what I did, though, you people should hold me well. That's the kind of person he is. He's blunt to a fault.
Okay.
Now it is for us to now know how we are going to stop these people because they are still there. This kind of thing that we are going through in Nigeria is not a situation where we will always go back and defend ourselves and say in every 12 there must be a Judas. That one Judas can spoil everything.
Oh, yeah.
In this case, that one Judas.
And these are crazy times for us.
The major defeat suffered by Nigerian army in Borno State, where they killed a lot of soldiers, was the fact that the movement of troops was revealed by one of them.
Was leaked.
It was leaked. And that is dangerous for our system. That's one of the reasons people still feel that we are having challenges overcoming some of this. Because
so these challenges are man-made.
They are man-made.
Yeah.
A lot of them are man-made. Look at the Northwest, for instance, like Biko will point out, and which I've also noticed over time. Soldiers are deployed in Katsina to go and get some bandits who are operating there. Before they get there, those bandits have moved to the neighboring state because they know the movement of the troops.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this should not be happening to us all of the time because we are losing quality.
And such folks, such deviants, are the enemy?
They are the
enemies
real
of
enemies.
They are
the real enemies.
Yes.
The real enemies. And the NSA asked a task now to help us to overcome this. It should, along with the others, devise.
Wale, you remember at the time we were joking with the phrase "name and shame."
Yeah.
You know. It's not just enough to name or shame. Let's put an end, call the bluff of these guys.
Yeah.
Because you can.
Yeah. And I think what my colleague has said, he has raised the issue about long-term solution, which is recruitment process. Recruitment process. And if you are talking about dealing with recruitment process, it means you have to eliminate favoritism.
Yeah.
If you want to go into the army and Anoba gives you a letter, go to the army. Nobody wants to ask questions because your candidate is coming from an MI, is coming from an OB or from Anoba. Nobody asks questions, then you go to the army. When he commits offense, it becomes very difficult to sanction him. Or he's coming from a senator, or he's coming from House of Rep, recruitment to the army, which is actually supposed to be the merit. In fact, should be the greatest place where merit can never be compromised.
Yeah.
The other issue is about Boko Haram, so-called Boko Haram repentance that have been reabsorbed into the system. The potential of being double agents.
Or de-radicalized.
Yeah, radicalized. So, and then the only way to solve the problem is to...
Can you really de-radicalize
them?
Can you really de-radicalize an insurgent?
Yeah. So the other issue is that, it's convenient to blame the political and the soldiers and all that. But a corrupt political system can hardly guarantee a transparent armed forces. Okay. So what we are seeing everywhere corruption is because of the rot in the political system itself. Yeah. So the politicians must also sanitize the system before they can remove the speck in their eyes before they can be able to have the moral right and legitimacy to sanitize the entire system.
So we are in trouble.
We are not.
Okay.
Really, if we are willing to do something.
Okay. But until we do something, Dr. We
are not in trouble because what we have seen may be on a small scale, but we have seen that over time, disciplinary measures have been taken. It's just a whole lot of process that this thing takes. For instance, you have caught a man who sold arms. You have dismissed him from service.
Yeah.
In some cases, the court martial will pronounce judgment. In some cases, these people are taken to the civil court to go through trial. Do we get quick justice from that process? That's number one. The moment people see that people get away with infractions as heavy as those,
there
is
they're enabled.
There is no reason not to do this. Number two is that we've had a lot of people who have committed offenses and then they are rearrested 1-2 months after they are jailed because somehow they found their way out of prison. NDLEA has had a lot of that stuff in recent weeks. People they arrested, the court said, okay, you have done this, you have done that, go to jail for 2 years or pay a fine of. The man who is into drugs, of course, has backers, even if he doesn't have money. They bring him out, they change his passport, and then he starts the trade again. They've arrested a couple of them in the last few months. And that's a shame to our justice system. Because there are certain things that even our laws should not permit. When there is a need to go the whole hog by imposing the maximum sentence, we should.
We should. Dr. Anwale, but you know, we are not suffering all these things because of a lack of laws.
Yeah.
It's not.
But because we have perhaps uncannily become an environment that does not punish bad behavior.
Yeah.
And so it's taken as a way of life.
That's what it has become.
Lack of rule of law. Not that we don't punish, but we punish people only when they don't have access to big men. When ordinary people commit crime, you read in the paper somebody has stolen a goat, and then they will sentence him to 5 years imprisonment. And somebody has embezzled, you know, so somebody has embezzled 1 billion naira.
He should have stolen an elephant.
You know, somebody has stolen 1 billion naira. Then you just say you should go to jail for 1 year. You know, when somebody has stolen 10,000 naira, you say you charge him for crime. It's a thief. When somebody has stolen 2 billion, you say it's money laundering. And then you're now looking at technicalities and all that. So we need to, you know, have a country should have rule of law. That we must be seen equal before the law.
So I cannot forget this. The brother of President JFK, you remember him, Robert Kennedy. He was the Attorney General when the brother was the president.
Yeah.
He said, any country will stick with law enforcement that appeals to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I believe him.
Yeah. We need to get out of that. A situation where the law is only meant for a group of people. Yeah. And when some people commit crime, they go free. The law has only one definition, you know, and the law does not know color, creed, or faith.
That's why Justicia, the woman you see in front of a court, is blindfolded, but has a scale and a sword.
Yeah, that should not know where you come from.
Oh yeah,
just you know. So we need to have a country where there is rule of law.
So, 60 seconds. Do you have anything to tell our dear NSA?
I like what he's doing. He should please find a way around some of these issues, especially these people who are saboteurs within. Even if they are commanders, they should be allowed to face justice.
Good.
Because we've had commanders who have been I recall some years back where it was this same Nuhu Ribadu who prosecuted some top Navy officers for crude oil theft. Though that case was eventually resolved somehow, but initially they were sentenced to prison.
Wale, how do you talk to our dear NSA?
We are proud of him, and I'm not surprised. He has kept a clean record, immaculate record, from the time he was EFCC chairman. And I think his experience as EFCC chairman is going to help us a lot, you know, to have to move forward in this strategic position that is occupying, because corruption is a major problem, you know, in the armed forces, and I think it's up to the task to help us resolve this problem.
All right, I personally would wish him Godspeed in this exercise, because to have fifth columnists at a time like this in our midst is like putting a house on fire and sleeping inside, hoping for a miracle. All right, so we are done with that story.